Hi all, and welcome to Data Lens, the short series where we talk about market research in the outdoor hospitality industry. Today, I'm here with Scott Barr, the president of Cairn Consulting Group. With over 35 years of market research experience, Scott has a wealth of knowledge to share, and I'm here to ask him the questions that you want to know. So, let's hop in. On today's episode, we'll be talking about how to use industry reports and ongoing research to stay ahead. So, Scott, anything to open up today with?
Just simply that there's a lot of reports out there, more appear all the time, and I think we'll kind of get into a little bit today of what to look for and how to use some of that information to your advantage.
Definitely. So it sounds like how do we put things into action is really what I'm gathering from this. So
absolutely, that's what it's all about. It's without action, it's just good to know.
Kind of the big thumbs up. Cool. All right. Well, hopping into our first question today. So Scott, what types of market research reports are most useful for outdoor businesses?
For anyone in the outdoor sector, especially outdoor hospitality, what you really want to look at is what's going on out there in terms of what are the trends, what's trending, what's the language being used, and so on. Because what happens a lot is that there will be information that's out there and available, but people might say to themselves, "Oh, I don't know how that applies to me," or that my situation is different, and that's fine. But what's necessary is to find the reports that do relate to what you're doing. And I can pretty much guarantee that someone is doing something that will apply to your individual situation.
Definitely. So it's like there's always something out there that you can go and explore and check out and find. Cool.
Absolutely.
So hopping into question 2 here. So how can monthly data trends improve business forecasting and planning?
In terms of the monthly stuff, the best thing you can do is look at what is happening within these reports. Where are things moving? Where were they last month? Where are they this month? And the best thing anyone can do, if you're whatever business you have, compare some of those key metrics to your personal situation. For example, if gas prices go up, do you see a certain type? Do you see your business decline? Do you see fewer large RVs making reservations? You have more site availability for your RV sites. That's one thing you can do. And how that helps you is you can plan. It's like maybe you need to start making some adjustments in terms of your marketing or where you're putting people when they arrive, knowing that there might be some availability in some other sites, because you know that you're going to have, maybe it's going to be down, and it could be the opposite. Gas prices go down, which is kind of where we're at now. It's looking like we're having a little bit of a decline in gas prices. So again, look at your books, look at what you're doing, look at your business, and see who is showing up, who isn't, based on some of these changes. One of the things I tell people to look at in terms of monthly information too is consumer sentiment. Is it positive or negative? And based on that, how does it relate to your business? Do you see improvements? Do you see declines? And within each of those, who is it that you're improving with? Who is it that you're declining with? And that's how you look at this information and figure out how to apply it to your business. And that's one of the things that we do is we analyze data. For example, I did an analysis a few months ago on the travel price index and how that related to like interest in different types of camping, for like lower cost camping or free camping. And what we saw was that when you looked at the trend lines and when you looked at the changes, they didn't track together. But what you had was a 2-month lag. So if travel price index went up, say it goes up on May 1st, you're not going to see the impact of that until July 1st. So, and similarly, if it goes down, it's going to be a 2-month lag. So that's part of that planning process as well, and that's part of the analytical part of what we do, which is to look at those things and say that first appearances, it doesn't seem like there's a relationship, but when you dig deeper, you actually find out there is one.
Oh wow! So it's really just taking kind of your own data stack and just really diving into it, and then also having say us come in and take a look at what we can do for you, right?
Absolutely. We love analyzing data. It's our fun.
Definitely, yeah, because you can really dive in, see the trends, and see how you can leverage your own stack. So cool. So that's more of kind of like an internal view. From more of an external view, so what kind of other insights can you expect from Cairn Consulting so far as industry reports and services?
In terms of industry reports, if you're watching this, you may have already looked us up. And if so, you will notice that we're heavily involved in the Camping and Outdoor Hospitality report that KOA sponsors and has been doing for the last 11 years. And that's an annual report. It's free. It's out there for everyone to use. We view it as the industry standard, and so do many others. I mean, that's a somewhat humble brag, but it's true. We've been doing it for a long time. We feel like everything's buttoned up. And what we try to do each year is to, one, keep it fresh, but also allow people to follow some of the trends that impact them. For example, when you look at demographic trends in this report, you'll see that camping, it changes. The generations are changing. The generations are all getting older, obviously, and they are having different life events. And the size of those generations and where they're at, it can impact you at the campground level. Where are you seeing an influx of younger people? Are you seeing an influx of less experienced people? And that information is all within that report. You can see it. And the other thing that I recommend people do is if they see something at their campground that is different than these national trends, the first question you want to ask yourself is, why is that? There may be an obvious reason, but maybe there's also an underlying reason. And the most important thing that someone can do is to look at what's happening with these trends and make sure that you're taking advantage of them. That you're, whether it's doing something to attract a different type of guest based on the experiences they want to have, and why are people showing up at parks. One of the things you'll see in these reports is that over time people are wanting to spend more time just relaxing and checking out. That for camping I think is huge, because that's right in our wheelhouse. For camping, because that's what people want to do. They want to relax and unwind. There's some trendy things going on too. You'll see that, and it's good to keep up with that too, so that if someone comes to your campground and says, I want to go forest bathing, that they are not, and I know I've mentioned this before, they are not referring to going out in the woods and hopping in the bathtub. It's a different thing. It's kind of immersing yourself in the forest. It's kind of what we've always done, which is just kind of go hang out in the woods. But there's a little bit of kind of meditational stuff going on with it too. But the other thing that came up recently, and I say this because these are things that I have to try to keep up with too. It's called grounding. It's walking around barefoot. I spent my youth barefoot. So I'm grounded. I'm well grounded. But it's one of those things that people want to do. And if you offer that, and just to know that someone may bring it up, and that and then you can, in your mind, you'll have already prepared for the fact that maybe there's a place in your campground where it's good to walk around barefoot. things that's free of debris and so on, that someone barefoot can just kind of walk and just hang out and do that. Same thing with forest bathing, a place that they can go hang, sit, maybe meditate a little bit and just chill out. So those are just two quick examples. There's a lot, there's other trends, people combining business travel with leisure travel. That is something that's been trending up for a while now. But again, to understand that you may have people who are doing that, and they may have different requirements when they stay. That's just a way of saying, when you read the report, again, figure out how it applies to you. Maybe you don't have a place to go forest bathing. Maybe you don't have a good place to walk barefoot, and that's fine. But at least you're prepared for that, the fact that it could come up. Again, from an industry report perspective, that to me is, it's obviously very personal for me because I've been doing it for so long. But we also do industry reports for the RV industry. The RV industry has a great deal of information as well. Some of it you have to be a member for in RVIA, but they put a lot of information out there as well. So, those are, and there's some organizations like CampSpot has a monthly report now that is all based on what they see. It's just important to keep in mind. Like, for example, the CampSpot information is good and it's directional, but it is just based on the campgrounds that use CampSpot. So, and it's aggregated data. It's good because you'll understand that at least from a sample of campgrounds, that here's some things that are happening, and it's all objective. It's not surveys, it's actual behavior. So that's good information. If you can ever get your hands on really objective information, actual behavior, which is why I always go back to using your own internal data and then looking at what you see in some of these industry reports and what we see at a national level, because you have your objective data, which is actual people showing up at your campground and staying. So those are just a couple of ways to think about it. But when you look at one of these reports, think to yourself, how does it apply to me? And how can I take advantage of this information? That's the second part of that question is super important, because it takes it from just kind of the good to know, or this is just a piece of information out there, to I can actually put it into action. I can actually do something about it.
That's kind of the name of the game, is how do you take data and make it actionable? So kind of almost like our tagline, huh?
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Cool. So Scott, where can you find good industry data and reports?
Well, the best place you can go is our website, cairnconsulting.com. And we have a resource page that has links to a lot of the reports that most of them are ones that we do. So again, it's a little self-serving, but that's okay, because we do a lot of research and we've been doing it for a long time, and we have access, and people give us access to a lot of information. So that's the best place you can go. You can do some Google searches and stuff like that, but the other thing I would do is, if you can't find it, just ask us. It's like we probably have the answer somewhere, whatever question you have. So that to me is the way to go, because we've consolidated a lot of this stuff, and so you don't have to go to multiple locations to try to get the information, or relying on Google to kind of just give you a list of things. You can use AI to do some of these searches, and they will find our reports out there. They, in fact, most of the time, if you ask a question about camping and outdoor hospitality, they will find our report first. They will cite us as the experts in this area. And so you can do that as well. And they'll also go out and try to find, depending on how specific your question is, maybe it's a campground study that someone's done that it'll find and bring it in as well. But always make sure you check your sources with AI too. So if you're whatever you do, just check the resource to make sure it's a credible resource. That's a very important thing. When I say credible, make sure you at least know something about the organization. Maybe ask them a couple questions. And one of the most important things you can do is look at who it is that they include in their research. How are they accessing the people? Like if it's a survey, who are they surveying? If it's just their customers or members or whomever, you have to take it with a grain of salt, because no organization has all the campers, all the guests that are their customers. They don't. So they have a snapshot of their customers based on their marketing and who they bring in. And it doesn't have to be a campground, it could be any business. So always keep that in mind, that if they're surveying just their people, just say to yourself, this result is not all campers, it's their campers. So, and that's what in our research, KOA sponsors it, but we go way beyond KOA campers. KOA campers make it in because just randomly, but we go out and take a random sample of the population, everybody, even non-campers, so that we know how many people are out there camping and how many people and how they camp and so on. So that's just one of those important things. I say it a lot, and I'll say it to anyone who will listen, but it's you just have to make sure, because if you're making a decision based on data, you want to make sure that the data is solid.
Those are some great final points here. So thanks for sharing today. So thanks for joining us today for another episode of Data Lens from Cairn Consulting Group. Today, we covered how to use industry reports and ongoing research to stay ahead. Don't forget to leave a comment or a question for next week's episode. Hit that like button if you like what you see. And as always, subscribe so you never miss out. Thanks. Have a great day. Later.
Bye.